If you're between 60 and 80, I need you to listen carefully. Because what I'm about to tell you has already stolen the speech, balance, and memory of thousands of seniors quietly without pain. Every 40 seconds in America, a stroke strikes. But here's the shock: most don't start with pain, weakness, or collapse. They start with silence, a sudden pause, a word that won't come out, a glitch in the brain's wiring so brief you can blink and miss it. Doctors call it a mini stroke or TIA, a transient ischemic attack. I call it the brain's last warning before the storm. Today, you'll hear the real story of one American grandfather who almost ignored those warnings. He survived because someone noticed 8 tiny clues that no one else saw. By the end of this video, you'll know how to spot each one and potentially save your own life. The morning it started. It was a quiet Sunday in Ohio. James Wilkins, a retired teacher aged 74, was making coffee like he'd done for decades. The sun was barely up. His wife Linda was reading the paper. Then it happened. James reached for the sugar spoon and it fell from his hand. He laughed it off. Probably nothing, he thought. But Linda noticed his smile was crooked. The left corner of his mouth just hung there like a puppet with a broken string. "Are you okay?" she asked. He tried to answer, and what came out was gibberish. Not stuttering, not forgetfulness, just nonsense sounds. 30 seconds later, his speech returned. He shrugged it off and went back to reading the news. That 30 seconds was his first stroke warning, a mini attack that the brain uses as a signal flare. Most people miss it. James almost did too. Silent stroke myth. No pain, no problem. Here's the danger: stroke doesn't always hurt. It doesn't scream, it whispers. Dr. Evelyn Hart, a neurologist from the Mayo Clinic, calls these events silent fires. They burn without flame, quietly destroying the brain's communication lines. Research from the American Heart Association shows that up to 35% of people over 70 experience microstrokes without knowing it. Tiny clots block tiny arteries for a few minutes, then release. You feel fine, but each episode kills thousands of neurons. Stack enough of them over time and you lose balance, memory, clarity. It's not aging, it's damage in disguise. The brain's SOS signals. After James's first episode, he went about his day. By afternoon, he felt off. Not sick, just foggy. He drove to the store and forgot why he'd gone. Standing in aisle 3, he couldn't remember his grocery list or his PIN number. He thought it was fatigue, but this was warning sign number 2, sudden confusion. Scientists at Harvard Medical School explained that even a 2-minute block of blood flow to the frontal lobe can trigger acute confusion, a short circuit in decision making. It feels like you're awake but half dreaming. You know where you are, but your mind won't follow orders. If that ever happens, it's not senior moment, it's oxygen loss to the brain. The third warning, the weak hand. The next day, James went to fix a door hinge. He picked up his screwdriver and his hand shook. He switched hands. Same thing. The tool slipped again and again. His brain was sending a clear message: sudden weakness on one side. Doctors call this hemiparesis, partial loss of muscle control when the motor cortex runs low on blood. Most seniors blame it on fatigue or arthritis. But if it comes on suddenly, even for a minute, it's a red flag. Your body is not tired, it's trying to warn you. One neurology study from Johns Hopkins found that patients who experience short-term one-sided weakness were 10 times more likely to suffer a major stroke within 90 days if they didn't seek care. James didn't know that. He simply rested his arm and took a nap. When balance betrays you. That evening, he stood up too fast and the room spun. He grabbed the counter to steady himself, but his legs wouldn't listen. He lurched to the side like a ship in rough water. No headache, no pain, just a sudden tilt. This was the fourth warning: dizziness and loss of balance. It wasn't low blood sugar or vertigo. It was a cerebellar microstroke, a clot starving the brain's balance center for oxygen. Dr. David Anderson at Stanford says these episodes are among the most deadly to ignore because they often cause falls and fractures before anyone knows the real cause. One study in Neurology Journal found that nearly half of all seniors hospitalized after a fall had undetected mini-strokes on their scans. The vision that dimmed. 2 days later, James was watching TV when his right eye went dark, not blurred, black, like someone pulled a shade down over half the world. It lasted only a minute, then cleared. That's called amaurosis fugax, Latin for fleeting darkness. It means blood flow to the retina was cut off by a tiny clot, a mini-stroke of the eye. According to the Cleveland Clinic, 1 in 4 people who experience temporary vision loss like this will have a major stroke within a year if untreated. Still, James did nothing. He told himself, "I must have rubbed my eye." The thunder in the head. That night it hit. A headache so violent he thought his skull might crack. It came out of nowhere and peaked within seconds. This was warning 6, the thunderclap headache. Most strokes are painless, but some arrive with explosive pressure in the head, caused by blood vessel spasm or tiny bleeds. Neurologists call it the sentinel headache, because it's the sentinel of something far worse. James took 2 pain pills and went to bed. He was still alive in the morning, barely. The numb face and tingling fingers. The next morning, as he brushed his teeth, James felt his left cheek go numb. A cold, creeping tingle spread down his arm like ice water under his skin. That's warning number 7, tingling or numbness on one side. Doctors call it paresthesia, the brain's sensory cortex running low on oxygen. It's like your nerves are sending SOS signals in Morse code. Ignore them, and the next signal might never come. The collapse. Then came the eighth sign. It lasted just 3 seconds. James was walking to the kitchen when the world went black. He didn't fall, he froze, like someone cut the power to his brain. He woke up on the floor, dazed, his heart racing. That was the moment his brain shut down its alertness center, the reticular activating system, to protect itself. A brief loss of consciousness, known as transient global amnesia. By the time his wife found him, the danger had passed, but so had precious time, the hospital awakening. When they finally drove to the ER, the neurologist looked at his scan and shook her head. "You had 8 mini strokes in 3 days," she said. "Any one of them could have been fatal." James was lucky. Each attack had lasted under 5 minutes. Each one had stopped before permanent damage set in, but the next wouldn't have. Doctors called TIAs time bombs with timers that reset themselves. The sooner you recognize the pattern, the sooner you disarm them. The science of seconds. Here's what the research shows. For every minute your brain is starved of blood, it loses 1.9 million neurons. That's your memory, speech, and balance dying in real time. But if you act within 60 minutes, you can reverse it completely. That's why it's called a transient attack. Transient because you still have a chance. Yet most seniors wait. They see if it goes away. They go to sleep hoping it was nothing. And by morning, their brain has crossed the line from warning to warfare. If you remember nothing else from this video, remember this. Fast, face, arms, speech, time. If the face droops, the arm weakens, or speech slurs, it's time to call 911. Don't drive yourself. Don't wait to see if it passes. Every minute is a million neurons lost. But here's what almost no one tells you. Strokes don't just come from your heart or blood pressure. They can start in places you'd never imagine. Your gut, your neck, even your jaw. And scientists now believe a specific morning habit done by millions of seniors actually triggers these silent strokes before breakfast. Opening recap lent new tension. James Wilkins survived 8 mini strokes in 3 days. He was lucky, most aren't. The truth is, most strokes don't kill instantly. They steal you piece by piece. Your memory, your balance, your independence. And yet, 80% of strokes are preventable if you act before disaster hits. Doctors call that critical window the golden hour. But for seniors, prevention starts long before that. Because what triggers the next stroke isn't always your heart, it's your habits. And one of those habits happens every morning in millions of American homes before breakfast. The habit that quietly damages the brain. When James came home from the hospital, his doctor asked, "Do you drink coffee before you drink water?" He laughed. Of course, who doesn't? But here's what shocked him and might shock you. Dehydration in the first hour after waking is one of the most overlooked stroke triggers in seniors. When you wake up, your blood is thicker. Your body has gone 7-8 hours without fluids. Then you add caffeine, a diuretic that squeezes your blood vessels and spikes blood pressure. That sudden surge can dislodge a tiny clot hiding in an artery and send it straight to the brain. According to a 2022 study from the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology, people over 60 who skipped morning hydration were twice as likely to experience microstrokes within 5 years. Not because of age, because of circulation. So what's the fix? Start every morning with 8 ounces of room temperature water before coffee, before tea, before anything. Think of it as flushing the rust from your pipes before you turn on the pressure. It's simple, free, and life-saving. The second hidden trigger, neck compression. Every time you look down at your phone or tablet for long stretches, you're cutting off blood flow to your brain. It's called tech neck ischemia. And new research shows it's quietly increasing stroke risk in people over 65. Here's why. When your chin drops forward more than 30 degrees, it compresses the carotid arteries, the main highways delivering oxygen to your brain. Stay in that position for more than 10 minutes, and you're literally starving your neurons. Dr. Yuki Nakamura from Tokyo University Hospital calls it a silent suffocation. He discovered that long-term neck flexion reduces cerebral oxygenation by up to 25%. That's the same oxygen loss seen during a transient ischemic attack. The fix is almost laughably simple. Every 20 minutes, lift your head, roll your shoulders, and look left to right slowly for 10 seconds. This releases pressure and reopens blood flow. It's not stretching, it's stroke prevention. The Japanese brain reset routine. Now, this next part might sound strange, but it's backed by science from the Japanese Society of Cerebral Health. Elderly monks in Okinawa, some living past 100 with no history of stroke, follow a simple 3-minute breathing ritual every morning. It's called hara breathing, deep, rhythmic nose breathing that boosts nitric oxide and widens arteries. Here's how it works. When you breathe deeply through your nose and let your belly expand, your body releases nitric oxide, a natural vasodilator that relaxes blood vessels. That means lower blood pressure, better oxygen flow, and less clotting. A 2020 Harvard study found that seniors who practiced 10 minutes of diaphragmatic breathing daily reduced arterial stiffness by 40% in just 8 weeks. James tried it. He sat by his window every morning, one hand on his belly, inhaled through his nose for 4 seconds, held for two, then exhaled for six. Within weeks, his doctor said his oxygen saturation and blood flow had improved by 20%. No pills, no machines, just breath. The original medicine. The brain-heart connection doctors miss. Most people think strokes only start in the brain, but many begin in the heart, especially with a condition called atrial fibrillation or AFib. It's when your heart's rhythm goes off beat, sometimes for seconds, sometimes for hours, forming tiny clots that can travel north. Here's the problem. 25% of AFib episodes happen silently, without chest pain or fluttering. You don't feel them, but your arteries do. That's why cardiologists at Johns Hopkins now recommend what they call the 60-second pulse test. Once a day, put two fingers on your wrist. Count your pulse for 60 seconds. If it feels irregular, if you skip beats, or it suddenly speeds up, that's a sign to call your doctor. In a 2023 study, seniors who self-checked daily were 40% less likely to experience an unexpected stroke because they caught their AFib early. It's not paranoia, it's protection, the hidden danger inside the mouth. Now here's the part most doctors never mention. Your gums can predict a stroke. That might sound ridiculous, but research from the American Stroke Association has confirmed it. Seniors with chronic gum disease are 70% more likely to suffer a stroke. Why? Because bacteria in your mouth can enter the bloodstream, trigger inflammation, and make your arteries sticky, the perfect trap for clots. It's called oral systemic inflammation, and it's one of the most overlooked stroke links in medicine. Japanese researchers even found stroke-causing bacteria in carotid artery plaques. The same microbes that cause bleeding gums were blocking blood flow to the brain. James learned that lesson the hard way. His dentist found gum inflammation that had gone unchecked for years. After he started regular flossing, rinsing, and oil pulling, his inflammation markers dropped by half. It wasn't vanity, it was survival, the sleep that heals or harms. After his hospital stay, James also learned about the hidden danger of poor sleep positioning. Sleeping flat on your back with two pillows can compress neck arteries and lower oxygen levels, especially in seniors with snoring or mild sleep apnea. Doctors now call this positional hypoxia. According to a Yale School of Medicine study, seniors who slept with their heads elevated at a 30-degree angle had 50% fewer nighttime oxygen drops, reducing stroke risk dramatically. The fix is simple. Use a wedge pillow or adjustable bed. Keep your airway open, your neck neutral, and your brain bathed in oxygen through the night. Sleep isn't rest, it's brain repair. The morning mirror test. Neurologists at Mount Sinai teach a simple 15-second routine that can literally save your life. Every morning, stand in front of the mirror and smile. If one side of your face droops, call for help. Then lift both arms. If one falls faster, call for help. Then say the phrase, "The sky is blue today." If your words sound slurred, muffled, or uneven, call for help. That's the FAST test. Face, arms, speech, time. Every senior should know it by heart, because stroke doesn't knock, it walks right in. What James did next, 3 months after his near-fatal episode, James turned his fear into fuel. He joined a community group for stroke prevention. He started walking 20 minutes daily, eating more greens, cutting salt, and keeping his blood pressure under 130. He called it his second life project. Every morning, he still does his 3-minute brain reset, warm glass of water, 10 deep horror breaths, for him 30 seconds of slow neck rolls, warm glass of water, 10 deep horror breaths, 30 seconds of slow neck rolls, or a smile test in the mirror. The hidden power of awareness. The truth is, stroke doesn't just strike the frail, it strikes the unaware. It hides behind excuses. I'm tired, I'm fine, it'll pass. But awareness breaks that silence. Doctors can reverse a stroke if you arrive within an hour, but only you can recognize it in the first minute. And when you do, you're not just saving your brain, you're saving the part of you that laughs, remembers, and loves. If you're over 60, your brain deserves protection, not panic. Hydrate before coffee, move your neck, breathe deeply, rest smart, and smile every morning. They're small actions with massive results. Because when it comes to stroke, seconds are survival, and every minute you stay aware is another minute you stay alive. So take this seriously. Share it with someone over 60. You could save a spouse, a friend, a neighbor, or yourself. And remember, it's never too late to outsmart your biology. Your brain can heal, your arteries can adapt, and your story isn't over, it's just beginning.